UFC 304 from Manchester, England this Saturday in the main event for the Welterweight Championship. Belal, remember the name Muhammad, gets his first title shot against Leon Edwards in their rematch of their no contest in the UFC Apex back in 2021. In the co-main event, it is a rematch for the interim heavyweight championship. Tom Aspinall defends the belt against Blaydes, the only man he has lost to in the UFC, though, due to a leg injury about 15 seconds into the fight. That is your main and co-main event this Saturday, UFC 304 on pay-per-view from Manchester, England. And folks, if you haven't yet, though, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below for some more MMA and UFC here on the channel. We do one of these every single week with every single MMA promotion in America, UFC, PFL, and Bellator. And let's get it going. Make sure to leave a like if you do enjoy the video. We start things off, though, with a fight between Marcin Prachnio and Modestas Bukauskas here in the light heavyweight division. For Modestas Bukauskas, this is a guy who's 3-4 in the UFC, coming off a knockout loss to Vitor Prachnio in his last fight. Now, Vitor Prachnio at one point was considered somewhat of a highly ranked and highly touted prospect, but then the guy went and lost to Anthony Smith in his home country. So I don't really know what to make of that. Bukauskas will be fighting Marcin Prachnio in this fight. Prachnio, again, had one of the worst starts to UFC career as possible. He loses to Sam Alvey, then he loses to Magomed Ankalaev, and then loses to Mike Rodrigues. Somehow beats Khalil Roundtree Jr., who's in the top 7 of the weight class. Beats Ike Villanueva, who was another very bad UFC fighter. Loses to Felipe Lins. Beats Will Knight, and then loses to Vitor Prachnio by arm triangle choke in the second round, and then beats Devin Clark in his last fight by unanimous decision. So both these guys have lost to Vitor Prachnio, kind of showing you where both these guys are at, honestly. For Bukauskas, before the Prachnio fight, it's a win over Zach Poundka, where he beats him by unanimous decision. It's a win over Tyson Pedro, and then before that, that was his first stint in the UFC, losing to Khalil Roundtree Jr., losing to Michal Solshaychek, who we're going to see against Shara Magomedov in a couple weeks now, and losing to Jimmy Crute. First win in the UFC, a win over Andreas Michailidis. We'll see a striking fight in this one. Both these guys are going to be willing to go in there and just stand and trade. Again, I wouldn't hype the fight up like that. But I do think it's going to be a striking affair between Bukauskas and Prachnio. I'm a little bit surprised Bukauskas is a favorite, I'll be honest with you. The Lithuanian comes into this fight around a -155/-150 favorite. For Prachnio, coming back at anywhere around that +125 to 130-ish range. Prachnio is 36 years old now. Again, the win over Khalil Roundtree Jr. does mean something, but however, that is over 3 years ago now. Since then, only wins are Will Knight and Devin Clark, and you know, those just aren't the best wins. Devin Clark really has fallen off in the UFC. He is 8-9 in the UFC, but he has lost 4 out of 5. Or 4 out of 6, but still, Will Knight is not a UFC caliber fighter no more. He lost his first fight of the UFC in CES. I don't know. I think this fight's pretty close in the feet. It really is. I would give the slight power advantage to Marcin Prachnio in this fight. Bukauskas has not won by knockout yet in the UFC, other than that Michailidis win in his first fight in the promotion. For Prachnio, he hasn't won with a TKO since the Ike Villanueva fight, which would have been his second win in the UFC. I think we see a striking fight. I do think Modestas Bukauskas is slightly better. I don't think he should be a favorite in this fight. I think this fight should be around even. But I am going to go with Bukauskas to take it by unanimous decision. I think he's slightly faster. He's going to have a reach advantage in this fight of about 4 inches. But yeah, I do think Bukauskas is faster. He's going to be 6 years younger than Prachnio in this fight. Prachnio is 36. Again, once you get into that, older 30s age category, I get it's light heavyweight, but still, once you get up there, it is harder to put in the same work that a guy that Bukauskas will be doing at 30 years of age. I am going to take Modestas Bukauskas to win the fight by unanimous decision. I will say it straight up now, though. This is one of the fights I'm least confident in. I'm going to take Bukauskas to take it by unanimous decision. To our next one here, we go on to the women's strawweight division. Shauna Bannon taking on Elise Ardelean. Okay. Elise. Shanna Bannon should win this fight. All right, she's 5-1. Sure, look who she's fighting. A 9-5 fighter. Okay, originally supposed to be Oliveira in this fight for Shanna Bannon. She gets Elise instead. Elise has not been a good fighter in her entire UFC career. The UFC, I believe this just happened yesterday. I think this is where I heard this. They were talking about, she fought Zhang Wei Li at one point in time. Well, that was in 2016. All right. Alice, whatever you want to say her name, she's won fight since, but she hasn't beat nobody. Go look at the fights and go look who she's actually beat. The one half-decent win is over a fighter named Samira El Kawad, who, again, was 3-0 going into the fight, but now is 4-1 and doesn't fight professional MMA anymore. That was all the way back in 2017. What has Ardelean done in the last couple years? She's beat a 3-4 fighter, an 0-1 fighter, a 2-0 fighter, and an 0-3 fighter. Now, okay, the record of 9-5 is that way because she started her pro MMA career at 4-5. But other than Zhang Wei Li and Diana Belbizia in 2014, she has not fought the best fighters outside the UFC. And really, her wins recently are horrible. She's coming to the UFC off of a win over an 0-3 fighter who's now 0-5 from Honduras. I mean, what are we doing here? She's fighting in UFT, which is a Romanian promotion. They had her fight in that promotion against an 0-3 fighter to win their championship at flyweight. I don't know what we're doing here. Shanna Bannon, I don't think's all that great. I'll straight up say it. She's 5-1. She had one fight in the UFC. It's a loss to Bruna Brasil. Nothing too eventful happened in that fight. Bruna Brasil gets the win, 2-1. Not upset with the decision at all. Now, Shanna Bannon hasn't really fought anybody else outside the UFC either, but I really think Alice Alderine is nothing but a can crusher. Like, look at who she's fought. These fighters, it's like the Amanda Serrano fight from last night. Again, not to that extent, but she's fighting fighters that shouldn't really be in there with her, and I just don't really know how good she is. In the UFC, you're coming in short notice, taking on Shanna Bannon, who, again, by the way, I don't think is the greatest, but I do think she's still better than Alice Aldine in this fight. Ardelean, I'm taking Shanna Bannon to win the fight by unanimous decision. Again, Alice doesn't do one thing that blows me away. She has not fought in a good promotion just yet. Shanna Bannon, again, doesn't really do anything that blows me away either, I'll be honest with you. But I do think she's able to just do enough to win this fight, drag the fight down, get it to the mat, and win down there. I think she will be able to exploit some weaknesses in the game of Alice on the ground, because she does have, 4 submission victories, but she has been subbed twice as well, even though both those submissions don't come or are in 2016 and before. But still, again, she hasn't fought anybody. She's finishing fights in the first round, but against fighters who are 0-1, 2-0, and 0-3. Yeah, I'm not picking you. I'm taking Shanna Bannon to win the fight. Am I confident? No, but Shanna Bannon should take it by decision. To our next one here, we have got the minus 365 favorite in this fight, Patterson, taking on the Irishman, Kiefer Crosbie. For Kiefer Crosbie, SPG Ireland's own, he is 0-1 in the UFC with his first fight being a loss to Kevin Jousset by rear naked choke in the first round on that Adesanya and Strickland card. Kiefer Crosbie did all right in the feet until the fight hit the mat. Jousset got him down, immediately took his back and got the submission. Sam Patterson's a huge favorite in this fight for good reason. He's 1-1 in the UFC with his first loss being that loss to Yanal Ashmoz, where he just got caught. He got knocked out a minute 15 seconds into the fight. After that, he went out and submitted Johan Lainus in the first round at UFC 297. He now gets Kiefer Crosbie. Again, I think there is a very big advantage for Sam Patterson on the ground in this fight. I don't think it's, this goes without saying. Again, you saw how easily Kevin Jousset was able to go in there, get a takedown, take the back, win the fight. That was Jousset's first ever professional mixed martial arts submission. And for Kiefer Crosbie, again, he's only been subbed twice in his pro MMA career, but you look back in Bellator, fought Gorky Karahanyan, lost the fight by arm triangle choke in the first round. So, again, the guy's been finished before. Looking at Crosbie, again, he didn't do that great in Bellator. He went 4-3, sure, but left the promotion after back-to-back losses to Charlie Leary and Gorky Karahanyan. In 2020 and 2021, those are not the best losses to have. Charlie Leary just lost in the PFL to Jack Grant. And this is a guy in Charlie Leary who his last win in Bellator is Kiefer Crosbie back in 2020. So, yeah, I'm not high on Kiefer Crosbie at all. I think, again, he has a glaring weakness in his grappling game. He got put in the UFC because he beat Alex Oliveira, but a lot of guys could beat Alex Oliveira at this point in Cowboy Oliveira's career. Sam Patterson, at one point, was somewhat of a highly touted prospect for the UFC, right? He was winning a lot in Brave. He came in, won the Contender Series. Just, got beat in a fight he was a big favorite in against Yanal Ashmoz. Ashmoz is good. Again, he hits like a truck, but he did lose to Chris Duncan in his last fight, so make it make sense. But a big win over Sam Patterson, a big win for Johan Lainus in his last fight. Was able to show the capability of getting the fight to the ground in the UFC and getting a submission. I think this is more of the same in this fight. I feel like this is one of the easier ones to pick. I think Crosbie, again, has a glaring weakness in his game, and I think that's going to be the grappling, and I think Sam Patterson's going to be able to exploit that. So we're going to go with Sam Patterson to go out here and win the fight by first-round submission. Again, there's a reason he is one of the bigger favorites on this card, and that's why we're going to go with them. Give me the future, Sam Patterson, to beat Crosbie by first-round submission. To our next one here, Elliott versus Preston Parsons here in the welterweight division. Parsons opens as a slight favorite going into this one. Of course, Elliott undefeated in the UFC with his first win being that one over Val Woodburn, which again, a win is a win, but Val Woodburn, not one of the better UFC fighters of all time. Elliott now draws Preston Parsons. And I'm a little bit shocked with the odds in this one. Parsons is coming off a good victory. I'll give it to him over Matthew Semmelsberger. He won that fight by unanimous decision over in the Apex First Card 2023. Now, I did not watch that fight live. I was actually at a Chicago Blackhawks game. I did not wear the jersey today just to say that, but still, Preston Parsons goes in there and just out-grapples Semmelsberger, essentially, wins every single round in that fight. The best performance of his UFC career. It was somewhat similar to the Evan Elder performance, where he was just able to go out there and just out-grapple Elder for 15 minutes. And that's what Elliott's going to be tasked with, defending in this fight. Am I a little bit concerned for Elliott? Yeah, because, Val Woodburn was able to get to the legs and take him down at points. I understand Elliott was by far the better grappler in that fight. As a whole, he was able to out-control Val Woodburn. He was able to stay in good positioning in that fight. But again, if Val Woodburn's able to take you down, I think Preston Parsons will be able to too. Now, obviously, again, Elliott's going to have the striking advantage in this fight, I do think. Preston Parsons is a tough guy to deal with because, again, he is one of these pressure grapplers who's looking to get the fight down, and he's going to be chasing the legs the entire fight. I like Elliott. I really do. I respect the professional wrestling fan of him, but I do think it's a very tough fight for him. I think he has advantage on the feet, obviously, right? But there were spots in the Val Woodburn fight that were tricky, right? He wins the fight. He controls it on the ground, but Val Woodburn knocks him down in that fight. Val Woodburn's able to get a couple takedowns in that fight. I think this is a tricky one for him. I think it is. There's a reason Preston Parsons is the favorite, and that's why we're going to go with them. I'm taking Preston Parsons, who is the favorite on the money line, but on Tapology, 74% of voters going with Elliott, 26% going with Preston Parsons. I'm going with the American out of Jacksonville Beach, Florida. I'm taking Preston Parsons to win this fight by decision. Again, I think it's going to be the pace that he's able to set. I think, again, it's going to be the overwhelming pressure with the takedowns. No pun intended, because his nickname is Pressure, but I do think it's going to be the heavy push and grappling from Parsons that will win him this fight. And again, yeah, Elliott won the fight against Woodburn, but there were a lot of holes in his game. Again, he is very hittable. And I do think there are spots in the ground where a guy like Preston Parsons can exploit him, get him down, and really just ride out the round on top. So with all that being said, I'm taking the favorite in Preston Parsons to win the fight by unanimous decision. Again, I think the wrestling is going to play the biggest factor in this fight of anything. And I just don't know if Elliott is ready for the step up. Again, Preston Parsons 2-2 in the UFC. Losses to D-Rod on short notice and a split decision loss to Trevin Giles that he arguably won. Very arguably should have won that fight, right? Very tough fight to score. Don't know how you score rounds 1 and 2. It is what it is. I think Parsons, though, goes out there and beats Elliott. I just think stylistically he matches up well with Again, if does win this fight, I think, again, he's going to get beat later down the line. He's a very hittable guy who, I think guys can beat him on the ground as well. But I think Parsons will get this one done. I'm going to take him by unanimous decision. To our next one here, up to the heavyweight division. Oh, man, Lucas Brzeski, the Bull, is back against Mick Parkin, the undefeated British heavyweight. I'll straight up say it. Everything points to Mick Parkin getting this win. Lucas Brzeski is 1-3 in the UFC. The only win being over Walter Walker, who was just horrible. No cardio. Was a very, one-dimensional fighter. Now, I thought Walter Walker probably should have got the nod. I understand he did no damage in the third round. But Lucas Brzeski, yes, was he winning on the feet? Sure. But was he doing damage on the feet? Not really. It wasn't fight-altering damage. I don't know. I thought Walker, for as bad as he was in that fight, probably should have got a decision nod. It doesn't matter. I bet on Walker. He was part of a big leg parlay, which probably wasn't smart. I think he was a minus 300 favorite, but it is what it is. Brzeski's coming into this fight. The UFC doesn't want this guy around, right? He's 1-3. They are going to give him Mick Parkin so they can justify cutting him when he's 1-4 in the UFC. That's the whole purpose of this fight. Mick Parkin's 9-0. He's 3-0 in the UFC. Wins over Muhammad Usman, Kyle Machado, and Jamal Pogues. I would say Mick Parkin is a younger version of the current Andrei Arlovski. Kind of, right? He outpoints guys at 265 pounds. He straight up just goes out there and outstrikes them. That's his game. And again, he's been successful in doing so far in the UFC. He's been beating up on low-level heavyweights. And yes, now I'm looking at you, Muhammad Usman. You're a low-level heavyweight now after losing your last fight to Thomas Peterson. What are we doing? But Mick Parkin has just gone out there and just really outstruck guys. He's got, again, like Arlovski, if he needs to wrestle, he can. Actually, Arlovski hasn't really done that much. But Parkin, again, did that against Kyle Machado, was able to switch it up. He's able to get the fight to the ground. He's able to win it by decision. He's been beating up on low-level heavyweights, though. I'm not going to lie to you. However, Lucas Brzeski, if you go in an encyclopedia, a dictionary, one of the two, I'm messing up my little saying here, but if you go look in a dictionary, a picture of Lucas Brzeski pops up when you look at the word low-level heavyweight. Now, I know that's not in the dictionary, but just go with me here. I'm taking Mick Parkin by decision. Will he be able to get Brzeski out of there? Maybe. The only guy to do so far in the UFC is Wado Cortez Acosta. I think Parkin just outpoints him. And yeah, have we taken all decisions so far except for the Peterson fight? Yeah. Patterson, excuse me. Yeah, we have. But I think Mick Parkin goes out there and really just uses his jab effectively. I think he throws the 1s and 2s and he puts away Mick Parkin. He dominates Lucas Brzeski. Will he win the fight? I don't know. But I'm going to take Mick Parkin to win the fight by unanimous decision. Will he finish the fight was the question. I don't know. I think Parkin, though, really just goes out there and puts it on Lucas Brzeski. Like 30-27 at the minimum here. I just do think it's one-way traffic. Again, the fight's completely set up for Mick Parkin to win. I understand Lucas Brzeski being an undefeated fighter in his last fight, but look who the undefeated fighter is. Right? Look who the undefeated fighter is. It's Walter Walker. Okay? Walter Walker is going to have trouble beating anybody in the UFC. So don't get crazy over Lucas Brzeski just because he beat an undefeated guy. I'm putting no weight in that undefeated win. I'm taking Mick Parkin by unanimous decision here. He's going to remain undefeated. Again, he's 9-0. He'll go to 10-0. He'll keep beating up on low-level heavyweights until they give him the jump up to the top 15. And we'll see what happens there. But I'm taking Mick Parkin by unanimous decision. To the bantamweight division here, we've got Jake Hadley stepping in on short notice to take on Callan Loughran in this fight. Interesting that Hadley took it, I'll be honest with you. This is a guy who at one point in time was 2-1 in the UFC. Came in his first fight. Got, a tough out in Alan Nascimento, a guy that really nobody wants to fight. Lost the fight by decision, beats Carlos Candelario, beats Malcolm X Gordon, loses back-to-back fights though to Cody Durden and Charles G. Johnson. Charles Johnson put it on him. Charles Johnson really did put it on him in that fight in St. Louis. Hadley took some damage in that fight. Now he's turning around pretty quickly to take on Callan Loughran, up a weight class. Not that Hadley's going to be too outsized in this one. Loughran's never been the biggest 135-pounder. He's 5'6", carries more weight, because if he didn't, he'd fight at 125 pounds. But I do think Loughran's pretty solid, right? Like, this guy's 1-1 in the UFC. He got just matched up with a very tough out in his first fight in the promotion. Got Taylor Lapelouse in France. He, again, took in the role and welcomed the role of the villain in that fight. Really played to the crowd. Lost it by decision. It is what it is. Taylor Lapelouse, again, just outstruck him and outpoint fighted him for 15 minutes. But Loughran came back, won a fight that he was supposed to win in Atlantic City, Jersey. Went out there and beat Angel Pacheco by unanimous decision. Went out there, outstruck him, outgrappled him. It was a good win for Loughran. I think he'll do more of the same to Jake Hadley. I think this is one-way traffic, I'll be honest with you. Again, Hadley's struggling at 125 pounds. I think he's going to struggle with not a bigger, height-wise guy, but just a more physical and a stronger guy in Callan Loughran. I think Loughran, if he needs to, is going to go in there. I think he'll get a takedown. I think there's going to be some point in time where Loughran does take down Hadley, but also in the feet, too. I do like Loughran better than Jake Hadley. Just in general, I'm not that impressed with Jake Hadley. I'm really not. Those back-to-back losses to Durden and Johnson aren't great. Now, again, Durden just lost to Bruno Silva. It is what it is. Charles Johnson's win over Josh Van, again, does, put more weight on that loss that Hadley does have to him. So, again, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world anymore that Johnson lost. At the time, I didn't think all that much of it. I thought, I did think a little bit of that fight. Like, damn, again, Jake Hadley should go out there and beat Johnson. He didn't. I don't know. I think Loughran beats Hadley, though. I think Hadley, again, I think he's going to be outmuscled on the ground when Loughran takes him down, and on the feet too. I just do like Loughran's striking game. Again, this is a former Cage Warriors champion in Calvin Loughran. This guy's pretty solid. Again, he won the Cage Warriors championship against the undefeated 9-0 Dylan Hazan. That guy's 9-2 now though, but it is what it is, right? Loughran is pretty solid. He's got a pretty decent striking game, and on the ground too, that's where he's going to give Hadley the most trouble. So excuse me if I said earlier if he needs to get a takedown, he probably will get a takedown at some point in time. I just think, again, if he straight up strikes with Hadley, I think there is a pathway to victory through that as well, just because I don't consider Hadley's striking game all that great. I just watched him, get, he didn't get finished like Josh Van against Charles Johnson, but still, Charles Johnson had his number the entire fight. And again, he's, Johnson beat Josh Van. So again, where is he? I don't know. Like, where is the cap potential for Charles Johnson? I don't know. But again, it was a good one for him over Van, so I don't know where to put Hadley in the weight class at this point. However, at 135 pounds on short notice, I think Loughran wins. We're going to take him by unanimous decision. Going on to the strawweight division once more, Molly McCann takes on Bruna Brasil. Again, I've said it, I am not the biggest fan of Molly McCann. I just don't like the antics. She kind of annoys me, I'll be honest with you, she just does. The whole thing where she won the fight against Luana Carolina, knocked her out with a spinning back elbow, and she literally took the UFC championship from the crowd. Someone had it, someone paid $499 for the belt at the merch stand. She literally takes it and, waves it around the octagon like she's the world champion. It disgusted me, I'll be honest with you. It was disgusting. But, she's back at 115 pounds here. Molly McCann, I guess, wins fights. I don't know. I guess she does. She's back at 115. She beat Diana Belbizia, where they put her in the Apex of all places, which is kind of odd. She's fighting in the UK. Again, this is a fight set up for her to win. It is, guys, unfortunately. Bruna Brasil is not very good. She's 1-2. The only win being Shanna Bannon. Maybe that's Molly McCann's next opponent. But Loma Lukbomi, who is, again, a Muay Thai specialist, went out there and just out-kickboxed Bruna Brasil for 15 minutes. Denise Gomez was able to knock Bruna Brasil down. At the same time, she was able to take her down. Eventually got the finish in the second round. Again, Bruna Brasil was all right in the Shanna Bannon fight, but I'm not putting much into that fight. I'm really not. Just because Shanna Bannon, I don't know where she is in terms of skill-wise compared to these two fighters. Well, compared to Bruna Brasil, we know, but compared to the level of fighters that McCann's been fighting. Because Diana Belbizia is pretty not very good, okay? Like, that's the easiest way to put it. And McCann, went right through her, submitted her in the first round with an armbar. It was pretty dominant. This will be a striking affair for the most part. I wouldn't be surprised if Bruna Brasil goes for the legs at some point in this fight, tries to get the fight down. I think Molly McCann, though, is just the more physical fighter. I think she's going to be able to outstrike Bruna Brasil. And I don't pick it often in women's MMA, but I'm picking it here. I'm taking Molly McCann by second round TKO. Oh, man. I hate taking Molly McCann, but again, Bruna Brasil's been outstruck by Denise Gomez. Gomez dropped her. I know she finished on the ground, but still, Gomez dropped her. And Loma Lukbomi saw a lot of success in the striking game as well. Molly McCann's going to see a lot more of that success. I understand, again, Molly McCann is just a straight brawler. She's going to wing shots, and she's just going to, again, that's kind of what she does at points. She's a sloppy striker, but Bruna Brasil's not the type of striker that can exploit that and really punish Molly McCann for the stupid mistakes she's going to make. That's the unfortunate truth of all of this. As someone who, I'm just saying, I want to see Molly McCann lose, but I pick winners of fights, and I'm picking Molly McCann because she's the better fighter. Simply put, she's the better fighter. She keeps the fight on the feet. She's got this fight all day long. She is simply the better fighter between her and Bruna Brasil, and I think she goes out there, and I think she picks up a victory in the second round by TKO. So we're going to take Liverpool's own. We're taking Molly McCann. Again, she's probably going to get one of her moments again like she did, again, when she beat Luana Carolina, when she beat Hannah Goldie. The UFC knows what they're doing, right? They booked her against tougher fighters. Actually, okay, she's supposed to be Julia Stoliarenko, and she didn't. That was in a co-main event of a fight night. Yeah, I don't know. They got her a win back when she beat Belbizia. No crowd. Coming back in the UK. Crowd's going to be going for her. Yeah, Molly McCann should win. Again, she's setting the table for Patty later in the night. We'll see how Patty fares against my guy, King Green. But I'm taking Molly McCann to beat Bruna Brasil by second round TKO. Again, she's just simply the better striker, and Bruna Brasil will not be able to exploit the weaknesses and the holes in Molly McCann's striking game. To our next one here, the biggest favorite on this card, I do believe. I don't know if Tom Aspinall is bigger favorite. He's not. Okay. Biggest favorite on this card, now trending towards the minus 500 range, you have got Nathaniel Wood taking on Daniel Pineda. It makes sense why Nathaniel Wood's such a big favorite, right? He's the British fighter in this one, but he's 7-3 in the UFC. Last fight is a loss to Muhammad Naimov in a fight where he was, a pretty sizable favorite in as well. He's a minus 340 favorite in that fight, and he ended up losing it. But Nathaniel Wood draws Daniel Pineda in this fight. Pineda's fun, don't get me wrong. He's a fun fighter to watch. He's an all-action type fighter who's looking to get in wars, right? And he said that after his victory where he won a Fight of the Night performance over Tucker Lutz back in 2023, I believe. Was that in Kansas City? I think it was. Was it? No, it was in San Antonio. But anyways, Pineda's willing to just get into wars, right? He lost Alex Caceres in his last fight. Another fun fight. It was in the Apex, which sucked, but still, it was a pretty good fight. Let's move my camera down. It was a pretty good fight where he loses by unanimous decision against Caceres, just simply put, is better than him. Pineda was, stuck trying to grapple in that fight. And yeah, he did see some success in the second round, but Caceres was the one going out there and out striking him in that fight. He beats Tucker Lutz before that, gets a knockdown. He gets a knockdown in the first round, wins it, comes back in the second round, gets the fight on the ground after Tucker Lutz shoots for a takedown. Pineda pulls guard, gets the guillotine choke, and wins the fight. Okay. We'll see where Pineda's at against Nathaniel Wood. I think Nathaniel Wood's a way better striker. I think he's way quicker, and I think he's just going to give Daniel Pineda a lot of problems on the feet. Again, there's a reason the guy's a minus 500 favorite. Pineda's 38 years old. He's not getting any younger, right? Nathaniel Wood is faster. He's got more skills. And again, he's not 38. Again, I know he lost to Naimov in his last fight, but Naimov is not an easy guy at all. That's a guy who's going to wrestle a lot in there. He's going to give you some problems. He's not going to, again, Naimov didn't allow Nathaniel Wood to really get settled in terms of his striking game. Before that, Wood went out there and beat Andre Fili in a good back and forth fight, beats Charles Jourdain, beats Charles Rosa. And again, most of that's through the striking game. Wood can grapple too. He's a guy who will shoot on legs a lot as well. However, I think that's where Daniel Pineda has the best chance to win. I know Pineda still has pop in his shots, sure, but I don't think Nathaniel Wood wants to straight walk into the spot or the area where Daniel Pineda's got the best chance to win. That's in the grappling game. So yes, the wrestling is a big part of Wood's game. Again, look at the Charles Jourdain fight. He goes for the legs a lot in that fight, shoots 8 takedowns, gets 5 of them. Every single round in that fight for Nathaniel Wood is capped off with a takedown. But again, why walk into Pineda's best asset in this fight, I think, other than the power, sure. But I don't think Daniel Pineda's able to go out there and technically outstrike Nathaniel Wood for 15 minutes. Again, obviously the odds makers think so at minus 500 for Wood, as well as Tapology. 97% of voters going with Nathaniel Wood to win the fight. I like him to take it by unanimous decision. Again, it's not a controversial pick in the slightest. We're going with Nathaniel Wood to go out there and just simply outstrike Daniel Pineda for 15 minutes. He's the faster fighter. He's the younger fighter. He's the better fighter. Give me Nathaniel Wood by unanimous decision. To our next one here, the featured prelim, this fight was just moved to the featured prelims in the flyweight division. It's a good one. Manel Kape takes on Muhammad Mokaev. Mokaev's undefeated. He's 11-0. Will the O finally go? If the fight happens, big if, just because, again, Kape's pulled out of a lot of fights. And Mokaev, Mokaev's made all of his dates, but still, Kape has pulled out of so many fights. Whether it be his fault or not, the last 2 have been his fault, but still, if the fight happens, I think it's a real tricky fight for Muhammad Mokaev. Manel Kape is the style of fighter that beats Muhammad Mokaev. Good takedown defense and very powerful striking. Maybe the best striking at 125 pounds right now. I know Steve Erceg might have something to say about that, but Manel Kape is truly that guy. The winner of this fight should be fighting for a title. Amir Albazi and Brandon Royval have not been booked yet. I thought by the time this fight happened, again, Royval and Albazi were going to fight in Denver. Fight never happened. I don't know why they didn't want to get Royval on that card. Is he still hurt? Maybe. I thought he was pushing for it. But you'd think they want to get the Colorado guy on the Denver card. Well, they didn't. Okay, that fight's not booked. Brandon Royval's number one contender, but he doesn't have a fight. He probably has to fight one more time. It makes sense for him to fight Albazi. They're talking about Pantoja and Tatsuro Taira. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. I think it probably will. But the winner of this fight should fight the winner of that fight, right? Mokaev and Kape. The winner of this fight is the number one contender in my eyes. I know Mokaev's 6, Kape is 8, but still, like, these guys, Kape's won 4 in a row. Has he beat anybody all that great? No, but again, he has the skills. He really does. And Mokaev, again, beat Alex Perez in his last fight by unanimous decision, right? It was a closer fight than it should have been, at least before the fight. That's what a lot of us thought. Perez's win over, Nicolau wasn't bad. It is unfortunate, though, for Mokaev. Alex Perez lost to Tatsuro Taira, and Taira fished him in the second round. And again, Perez went the distance with Mokaev. But again, the injury or whatnot, or was Taira looking to twist his leg or not? I don't know. Was that a strategy? Again, who knows? But again, Manel Kape, guys, has the game plan and has the formula and can pull it off to beat Muhammad Mokaev. It's, again, defensive wrestling and really good striking. That's what Manel Kape has. He's going to be tested. It is by far the toughest fight of Manel Kape's. Actually, no, he fought Alexandre Pantoja, excuse me. But it is the second hardest fight of Manel Kape's UFC career, right? It is. He's much better since the guy who fought Pantoja in his UFC debut. He's much better than the guy who fought Matheus Nicolau in his second fight in the UFC. I'm so mad that Kape couldn't get the Nicolau fight, because the fight was right there for him to win. Main event of a fight night. He would have destroyed Nicolau. Nicolau's chin is gone. It would have been a great knockout for him at 125 pounds. It would have been his third in the UFC. If he got a flashy knockout, it might have put him to a title shot. Now, again, you get to prove yourself against Muhammad Mokaev. Can Mokaev get a takedown against him? I don't know. He went 3 for 20 against Alex Perez. Sure, did he get him and did he win the fight? Yes. But Mokaev, in all fairness, has left a lot to be desired in the UFC. He is undefeated, but this is where I think he loses. I'm taking the experience. I'm taking the guy who's 7 years older than him. Mokaev's still only 23 years old. I'm taking the 30-year-old Manel Kape to win the fight. This guy's looked very good since something happened after the Nicolau fight. He realized, okay, I can't keep fighting like this, even though I got robbed in the fight. Can't keep fighting like this. He's got to go out there and win fights. He does. Beats Ode, beats Jalglas, beats David Dvorak, beats Felipe dos Santos. Again, this guy beat Kai Ascura in Ryzen. And Kai Ascura is, again, he's big stuff now in the UFC because they just signed him from Ryzen, right? In Kape's last fight in Ryzen, he went out and knocked Ascura out for the Bantamweight Championship. Kape's good. He can go out there and beat the best guys. It's just a matter of if he can get out there, if he can, again, get to fight week, if the fights actually happen, then yes, Manel Kape's a problem. I think he goes out there and beats Muhammad Mokaev. I think he stuffs takedowns, and if he does, I think Mokaev is a sitting duck on the feet. And I think Manel Kape, star boy, goes out there and wins this fight in the first round, giving Manel Kape to knock out Muhammad Mokaev in the first. We're taking the underdog. Really like him in this spot. However, I don't even know if the fight's going to happen because, again, something fishy might happen. Not fishy, just something, again, with Kape can happen before the fight. We'll see. I'm taking Manel Kape, though, to beat Muhammad Mokaev. I'm taking him by first round knockout. To the main card, we start things off here in the featherweight division. We've got Arnold Allen taking on Giga Chikadze. Arnold Allen is back after his last fight in a losing effort to Movsar Evloev at UFC 297, a fight where Dana White said one of the most boring fights I've ever watched. It wasn't that bad, but, it wasn't great. Arnold Allen, though, is rewarded after, again, Dana White said the, quote, worst fight he's ever watched. He's rewarded with a fight on a UFC main card of a pay-per-view against Giga Chikadze, who's quietly 8-1 in the UFC. The only loss being to Calvin Kattar, a fight where he got his face punched in. Now, coming off a good win over Alex Caceres, actually, good win, it's overstating it. He outpointed Alex Caceres and beat him by decision. Sure, does he win every single round? Yeah. Is it the best win? Is it the most dominant win for Giga Chikadze? No, it's not. He does win the fight, but is it overly impressive? I don't know. And Chikadze is going to turn 36 in August. He's not getting any younger. And again, 36 at 145 pounds doesn't usually spell the best of success. Arnold Allen's quicker. Arnold Allen's faster. Does he have more power? I don't know. Actually, is he quicker than Giga? I don't know. Chikadze, simply put, has not been the same guy since the Kattar fight. And yeah, he's only fought once, but he looked really hesitant to pull the trigger in the Caceres fight. And yeah, does he win it? Sure, okay, I will give him that. He won the fight. But he didn't look like the same guy who was just running through guys up until the Kattar fight. Again, these names aren't the best, but Jamie Simmons, Omar Morales, Cub Swanson, Edson Barbosa is a good one in a main event. But he was smoking guys. Kattar was a lot better in terms of the striking game, and I think Arnold Allen is going to be a better striker as well. Again, sure, I get it. Giga Chikadze, good kickboxer. That's where he comes from, right? Kickboxing background, sure. But Arnold Allen can kickbox too. He's got heavy hands as a boxer. Go back and watch the Dan Hooker fight, right? It's short. Takes some bombs from Hooker, but delivers and throws them back at the same time. Gives Dan Hooker problems in that fight, rocks Dan Hooker, wobbles him, puts him down, and wins the fight by first round knockout. I think Allen will be able to do the same to Giga Chikadze. Will he be able to knock him out? I don't think so, because look how much damage Chikadze took in the Calvin Kattar fight, and he ended up going the full 25. I think Arnold Allen wins a 30-27 decision in this fight. Again, I just think he's a better fighter. I think he's a way better striker in this one. In terms of the grappling game, will it be there? Yeah, probably. It will be. Allen, again, won't shoot the most. The last time he did it was in the Youssef fight back in 2021. But I think it will be there for him. I don't think Chikadze is the best defensive grappler at all. Calvin Kattar was able to take him down a couple times. He went 2 for 7 on his takedown, so I don't know. Again, though, the striking game is, going to be there for Allen. I think he's the better striker. Fighting at home in England, he's got his people behind him. He's 10-2 in the UFC. The only losses being, again, his last 2 fights. The guy was 10-0 in the UFC before he fought Max Holloway, went 25 with them, lost. Okay, lost to Movsar Evloev, a guy who, again, was constantly shooting on his legs. There's no fear of that against Giga Chikadze. He is going to be able to get in his element, fight a kickboxing fight against Giga Chikadze, and I think he's going to be able to win. So it's going to be Arnold Allen to win by unanimous decision. Again, there's a reason he is a minus 260 favorite. I am simply put just not that high on Chikadze anymore. Again, the Calvin Kattar fight will do that, and just recently, again, I know, again, he beats Caceres, but the Giga Chikadze we saw up until the Calvin Kattar fight, we all expect him to finish Caceres, and he didn't. Little hesitant on pulling the trigger. I think Allen's going to make him pay. I think Allen's going to beat him with a punch. I think Arnold Allen's going to win the fight by unanimous decision. Let's go on to our next one in the middleweight division. Don't entirely know why this one got called up to the main card, but should be violence. And again, I kind of get it. Someone's getting knocked out. Christian Leroy Duncan versus Gregory Rodrigues. Again, RoboCop barely has bad fights. Originally, this one was supposed to be, I believe, on the early prelims, or maybe the first fight of the second portion of the prelims on this card, but it is what it is. Gregory Rodrigues now versus CLD Christian Leroy Duncan. Again, Gregory Rodrigues, with the exception of 2 fights in the UFC, has been finished or has finished his opponent in the UFC. And he's fought, how many fights in the UFC? 10? About 8? Yeah, that's the way RoboCop fights. CLD has good fights as well. Big win over Claudio Ribeiro in his last fight. A win over Dennis Tulin before that. The injury victory over Dusko Todorovic in his UFC debut at UFC 286. And a loss to Arman Petrosyan. Yes, Petrosyan has beat both of these guys. But this is going to be fun. These guys are going to swing and it's going to be interesting. I don't think we see any turns to grappling in this fight. I think we do see a stand and bang type fight. Rodrigues has never been taken down in the UFC. If anything, he's going to be the one, I think, being the aggressor on the ground game. I think, yeah, probably. Even though, again, CLD is able to get fights down like he did against Claudio Ribeiro. That was, again, en route to him getting the finish was a takedown. It was just dominating Ribeiro down there and getting a finish. But I do think we see, for the most part, a striking fight. We've got about even odds in this one. It's a close fight for me, it is. Again, CLD, very highly touted prospect coming in from England. RoboCop's, he is very susceptible, though, of being hit, right? He is there to be hit. Again, you look at the Bruno Ferreira fight. Bruno Ferreira landed big on him, knocked him out, and put him out cold, right? But at the same time, Rodrigues went in there, took down Dennis Tulin, and beat that guy to a pulp. The fight should have been stopped 20 seconds earlier. Elbow after elbow after elbow after elbow, just beating the living hell out of Dennis Tulin in that fight in Boston, Massachusetts in August of 2023. The Tavares win was good. He wins it in the 3rd round. was winning the fight up until that point, was winning every single round, ended up getting the finish. Now you get him in CLD. Again, Christian Leroy Duncan's a good striker. It's by far, though, his toughest test to date. Petrosian was able to go out there and outpoint him. However, Rodrigues will bring it, and Rodrigues will be, again, willing to die in there. It is a kill or be killed type of fight. And I think CLD does pass. I'm taking Christian Leroy Duncan by second round TKO. Again, someone's getting knocked out in this fight. I think it's going to be Rodrigues on the receiving end of that knockout loss. Because, again, we've seen Rodrigues finished in the UFC. Bruno Ferreira put him out. Jordan Williams put him out in the Contender Series. It's happened. CLD's only lost once. It's been by decision to Petrosian. I think Leroy Duncan goes out there, and I think he finds that big shot before Rodrigues is able to find the big shot. I think you see the fight staying on the feet. I don't think Rodrigues is able to get Duncan down. I think Duncan will step the takedowns. And I think you see a stand and bang type fight. I think Leroy Duncan, though, is able to pick his spots better than Rodrigues. I don't know if he's more powerful for say, because both these guys have a lot of pop in their shots. But I do think Duncan's able to counter Rodrigues well in this one. I think Rodrigues will overswing or something. He'll leave himself to be open. Rodrigues is very hittable. I think Duncan's going to exploit that, and I think he'll win the fight. I'm taking Christian Leroy Duncan to go out there and beat Gregory Rodrigues, and he gets it done in the second round. Eventually, again, that big shot's going to find its way through. I think, again, you see some trading, but I do think Leroy Duncan does come out on the winning end of this fight. Would not be surprised if it wins fight of the night or if someone wins a performance bonus. I'm taking Christian Leroy Duncan to win the fight by second round TKO or knockout, actually. Again, the UFC did this for a reason, putting this fight on the main card. It's because they expect someone to get knocked out, and I would too. I doubt this fight goes the distance. Give me CLD by second round knockout. To the featured fight. All right, Bobby King Green, or now just going by King Green. He has changed his government name to first name King and last name Green, taking on Paddy the Batty. This is the fight I've been wanting. I've been wanting Bobby Green to get the Paddy Pimblett fight for the longest time. I've been waiting for it, and I will straight up say it. This is the fight Paddy loses. Am I picking against undefeated British fighters in the UFC today? Yeah, I am. Paddy, Mokaev. Are we picking against Aspinall and Leon? I don't know. I understand both of them are undefeated. Aspinall essentially undefeated. Edwards again on the big winning streak. Anyways, I'm not giving my picks for those yet. But I am taking King Green to beat Paddy Pimblett. This is, again, I am so confident that Bobby Green beats the living hell out of Paddy Pimblett. He is going to punch his face in for 15 minutes and win a decision 30-27. Okay? That's how confident I am. Look at the way Bobby Green was able to dominate Jim Miller on UFC 300. One-sided beatdown that fight was. What is he going to do to Paddy, who leaves his chin up wide open in the air? That chin is out. It is out. I don't think Paddy's able to really do much damage against Bobby Green on the feet. Again, I understand. Bobby Green's chin is not what it once was. Is he hittable? I wouldn't say that. I think Jalen Turner just landed a very good shot and put him down. Same can be said about Drew Dober. I don't think Paddy Pimblett is at that level where he's able to find that big shot against Bobby Green. Again, if he does, I'm gonna be very disappointed. I'll be very disappointed if that happens. But I don't think Paddy's at that level. I don't think he is. Again, Bobby Green, again, the classic shoulder roll, blocks punches with his shoulder, right? I don't think Paddy's able to hit him. In terms of wrestling, I don't think Paddy the Batty's able to get him down. Bobby Green has not been taken down in a UFC fight since the Islam Makhachev fight in 2022. He's a tough guy to take down. He's historically always had good takedown defense. I don't think Paddy's able to get him down to, again, get off his grappling. So with that being said, how does Paddy beat him? Again, he has to take Bobby Green down. I don't think he stands a chance in the feet. I don't think he does. Don't forget, again, 2 fights ago, Paddy Pimblett barely beat Jared Gordon. He got lucky on a decision where nobody thought Paddy won. And sure, he beat an old Tony Ferguson who was 1 fight away from breaking BJ Penn's record of most consecutive losses in the UFC. Again, that can't happen if he loses to Chiesa in a couple weeks, which probably will happen. But yeah, Paddy wins that fight. And again, sure, he beats Tony Ferguson, but it's Tony Ferguson in 2023. I put nothing into that. I really don't. So again, Jared Gordon was able to outstrike Paddy Pimblett. What is Bobby Green going to be able to do? Again, I'm going to say it, one-way traffic. He's going to knock down Paddy in this fight. He's going to drag Paddy Pimblett into deep waters, and he's going to punish this guy. And I just don't think Paddy's been tested against a guy like Bobby Green yet. Like, truly. Bobby Green's a top 15 guy. Paddy Pimblett's never fought anybody the caliber of Bobby Green. Right? Tony Ferguson's washed. Jared Gordon, he got robbed in his last fight, I think, against Hawkcross as well. But again, like, these guys are not on the level of Bobby Green. Bobby Green is miles ahead of these guys. Again, there is the factor of, can Paddy hit him with a huge shot and wobble him? Honestly, for me, that's Paddy's best chance to win. Not that he's going to do that, but I think in terms of having an opportunity to win the fight, I think it's going to be through that. I don't think he's able to take Bobby Green down. Truly, I don't believe it. So again, if Paddy Pimblett's best shot is to knock Bobby Green out or knock him down so he can get the fight on the ground, I think he's in trouble. And again, I've been saying it, Paddy Pimblett is in trouble in this fight. Bobby Green's going to win, and he's going to dominate. Paddy Pimblett is going to get killed in this fight. Seriously, I'm taking King Green to win the fight by unanimous decision. I'm so confident. I'm so confident in Bobby Green to win this fight. Again, I understand he's 37, but Bobby Green does not fight like he's 37 years old. Again, all the confidence in the world after the Jim Miller fight. The chin is fully healed from that Jalen Turner fight. He is fine. He's not going to get taken down. And there's no chance in hell Paddy Pimblett outstrikes King Green. We are going with Bobby Green with a huge victory. He beats Paddy Pimblett in Europe, in England, picks up the victory. Don't know where that puts him in the rankings. He's at 15. I don't know who he'd fight next, but it's a huge victory for him. I think he gets the win. Give me Bobby Green to go out there and beat Paddy Pimblett. I'm taking him by unanimous decision. To the co-main event in the heavyweight division, Tommy Aspinall takes on Curtis Razor Blaydes. There's not much to talk about from the first fight. Let's just be honest. Aspinall, again, checked leg kick, loses the fight. It is what it is. I am pretty confident saying that's not going to happen again. So here it is, Curtis Blaydes and Tom Aspinall. Now, the fight that kind of stands out for me is just 2 fights ago, Curtis Blaydes got knocked out against Sergey Pavlovich. I know we're high on the guy because he beat Jailton Almeida, but Curtis Blaydes is very beatable here. Jailton Almeida got it, how many takedowns did he get in the first round? 9 takedowns against Curtis Blaydes in the first round. Sure, that does mean Curtis Blaydes got up 8 times, but 4 minutes and 39 seconds of control in that first round for Jailton Almeida. Dominates. I don't know if it's a 10-8 because he literally didn't get a single strike off, but dominant, wrestling performance by Jailton Almeida. That's why I am still very high on Jailton Almeida. I'm the one driving the hype train still on Jailton Almeida, okay? It might not be the most, crowd-pleasing style of fight, but again, I am still driving the hype train on Jailton Almeida. I will continue to drive the hype train until it falls off the tracks. Now, second round. Almeida's in on a takedown, he's in on a single. Blaydes just continues to hammer fist the hell out of his head, and Jailton Almeida kind of just gives up. Okay, first moment of adversity in Jailton Almeida's career, he gives up. Okay, whatever, it's fine. He will learn from that. Done talking about Jailton Almeida. Sure, Curtis Blaydes wins the fight, but if Tom Aspinall gets you down to the ground and takes you down 9 times, is he letting you up that many times? I don't think so. I think Tom Aspinall would keep the fight on the ground and hold him down. So, Curtis Blaydes, for the longest time, has been looked at as the grappler and the wrestler at 265 pounds. I don't know if he is that anymore. With John Jones in the weight class, Tom Aspinall, hell, Jailton Almeida, who, yes, Blaydes did beat, but he did get out-wrestled by. With all those 3 guys, I don't really think Blaydes is the upper echelon of wrestling anymore at 265 pounds. I think he could beat a lot of these other guys wrestling. Hell, I'm looking at Volkov, Gane, Pavlovich. He didn't try to take him down in that fight, but it is what it is. Still, Tabura, Tuivasa, Lewis, Rosenstruik, all those guys. He should be able to take down and dominate on the ground. Not Tom Aspinall, though. He's not going to be able to do that to Tom Aspinall. On the flip side, I think Tom Aspinall might be able to tackle Curtis Blaydes, get him to the ground, and then again do damage because that's what Aspinall does on the mat. However, I think Tom Aspinall is a way superior striker than compared to Curtis Blaydes as well, right? So, this is what I'm talking about. Blaydes has won 4 of 5, right? Since losing to Derek Lewis when he was on the cusp of a title fight. He has won 4 of 5. Rosenstruik, Dawkins, Aspinall, again, injury. Lost to Pavlovich, win over Jailton Almeida. However, the last 2 fights for Curtis Blaydes, one, again, is him getting taken down 9 times in a round, where, again, if you get taken down and if you're on your back that long against Tom Aspinall, you probably get submitted or TKO'd. Okay. And the other one, Sergey Pavlovich, where Pavlovich dominated the striking exchanges in 3 minutes and knocked him out in the first round. What has Pavlovich done since then? He's been knocked out by Tom Aspinall, and Alexander Volkov outstruck him for 15 minutes. Not to say Pavlovich is bad or anything, but he's lost twice. Curtis Blaydes only won 1 fight since the Pavlovich fight where he got knocked out. I don't know why Blaydes didn't try harder to take him down, considering that's been Pavlovich's, and again, that's why I thought, Aspinall was going to be able to do to him. I didn't know if Aspinall was going to win the fight, but again, that's what I thought Aspinall's best pathway to success was in that fight, was through the grappling, and still, nobody's really tested Pavlovich with the grappling game since Overeem did in his UFC debut, just because, again, Volkov went out there and outstruck him. But with Curtis Blaydes, again, only tried 1 takedown against Pavlovich, didn't get it, and then he said, all right, I'm just going to strike, and he got knocked out. Well, if he just strikes with Tom Aspinall, who knocked out Sergey Pavlovich, he's probably going to get knocked out. And again, I like Aspinall in the wrestling too. I think Aspinall's a better wrestler than Curtis Blaydes. I think he is. Again, Jailton Almeida made it apparent that he was a better wrestler than Curtis Blaydes. I think Tom Aspinall will be able to do the same thing. However, I don't think the fight is going to go to the ground because I think Tom Aspinall will knock out Curtis Blaydes in the first round. Okay? Blaydes, I wouldn't say he's chinny. He's only been finished 3 times by heavy-hitting guys. I'm looking at Lewis. I'm looking at, again, Pavlovich and Ngannou. But Aspinall is that powerful as well. And again, not into the Ngannou extent, probably not even to the Derek Lewis extent, but he's quick. Again, they say it all the time. He moves like a middleweight at 265 pounds. He's so quick. He's so fast. And he hits hard as well. This fight is trouble for Curtis Blaydes. Tommy Aspinall should be able to win. Again, the first fight just doesn't mean much because of what happened. And Tom Aspinall will be able to go out here and get a finish in the first round against Curtis Blaydes. I believe it. I think he's a better wrestler. I think he's a way better striker. Everything points to an Aspinall victory. Yes, again, Blaydes' win over Almeida looks good, but when you take a deeper dive and look at things, he got out-wrestled in the first round of the Almeida fight dominantly. Yeah, he comes back and wins, but he fought a guy who had really never taken a punch in his professional mixed martial arts career. Almeida's going to be fine, but again, he fought a guy who hadn't really taken a punch from a guy like Blaydes yet in the UFC. And he got knocked out the fight before that against Pavlovich, who is 0-2 since. And oh, by the way, Aspinall knocked Pavlovich out. We're taking Tommy Aspinall all day here. And again, I don't know what the UFC does with the heavyweight division. It's ridiculous. There's even an interim champion. Tom Aspinall should be fighting for the world championship. I would hope John Jones, Stipe Miocic, the winner of that fight, fights Aspinall. I have a good feeling the winner's going to retire as well as the loser. I'm hearing some rumblings about Alex Pereira, John Jones. I don't think that's going to happen. It has been brought up a little bit. I don't think they are going to skip Stipe because the UFC is really keen on making that Stipe-John fight, so we probably will get John and Aspinall. If, again, John sticks around and then, again, John Stipe first. I don't think John Jones ever fights Tom Aspinall. It doesn't, again, for us, if you're watching this channel, you're a hardcore mixed martial arts fan. You just are. Because again, I literally talk about every single fight. I do PFL, I do Bellator, and if you're a casual mixed martial arts fan, you don't, go through the prelims, you just show up for the main card or whatnot. So again, for us, as the hardcore fans of mixed martial arts, and you're a hardcore fan if you're watching prediction videos and preparing yourself for the fight. I'm talking a casual fan is a fighter who, or is a fan who, again, nothing wrong with this, by the way. I want to make this very, very clear. Nothing wrong with someone who just shows up and watches the pay-per-views and that's it, and just watches the main card. Nothing wrong with that. I'm happy that we're at the point in the sport where there are casual fans and there are people who just casually tune in to watch pay-per-views. That's great because it shows the sport is expanding. There's nothing wrong with that. It's like people who watch the NFL and just watch the playoffs or just watch Sunday Night Football and that's it and don't really care about the games prior to that on Sunday, right? There's nothing wrong with that because it shows the sport is expanding. And it's like baseball fans who just watch Shohei and the Dodgers. They just watch Harper and the Phillies. They just watch the Yankees with Judge and Soto, right? But my point is, it's good that this is a thing, right? Because it shows the sport is expanding. But if you're not a hardcore fan, and this is, again, I'm going to give John Jones credit for this is the way he thinks, but it's true. What does a win over Tom Aspinall do for him? John Jones is already the greatest not heavyweight of all time. He's already the greatest fighter of all time. He's undefeated For us, again, as people who watch the sport all the time, it's huge if he beats Aspinall because it really cements his legacy. But you know what, in terms of the eyes of the casual fan, does more damage? A win over Stipe and a win over Alex Pereira. They're big names. Stipe is regarded as the best heavyweight of all time. Alex Pereira is the biggest star in the UFC right now. Those are the fights that will get Jon Jones more money and will give him more popularity and give him more fame, is if he beats those two guys. Why would he fight Tom Aspinall, a guy that is a way tougher fight that who knows if he can win? I don't know. If Tom Aspinall and Jon Jones fought today, I'd still pick Jon Jones just because, again, I'm not going to glaze him like Dana White glazes Jon Jones. But I'm still, again, nobody has beat Jon Jones before. I am very hard-pressed to pick someone to ever do it. Again, torn pec and everything, I don't know. I think Tom Aspinall has the best chance to ever do it. Literally, out of anybody, more than DC ever had. More than... really, nobody else has really had that. You know, Gustafsson, I never really thought Gustafsson had a chance in the second fight, I'll be honest. I don't think anybody's ever had a better chance. But I don't think he gets the fight. I'm taking Tom Aspinall to beat Curtis Blaydes. I'd be hard-pressed on a Tom Aspinall Jon Jones fight, but we will cross that bridge if it ever passes. I don't think it ever does. But anyways, we're taking Tom Aspinall. He should be the undisputed champion, though. It's ridiculous he's not. He will get it eventually, though. The winner of this fight will be promoted to world champion, I do think. Unless Jon sticks around or Stipe sticks around, then they just fight the winner. But it is what it is. Tom Aspinall beats Curtis Blaydes. He defends the interim championship by first round knockout. To the main event, again, that last fight's kind of the main event for me, but Leon Edwards, Belal, remember the name, Muhammad. Again, good for Belal. Belal deserves a title shot. He does. Now, did any of us really want to see this? No, but we had to get it out the way eventually. Yeah, but Belal does deserve the title shot. Now, I'm going to start a discourse here about Leon Edwards and, you know, actually, I don't think this is too controversial of a take. I think Leon Edwards is a boring fighter. I'm not, again, this is nothing against the guy. Because again, hell, if I could be a boring fighter and be the UFC world champion and be the best guy in my weight class, I'd do it too. I just don't think Leon's that entertaining. I don't think he is. The Colby Covington fight was boring as hell. And everyone wants to blame Colby. But Colby Covington broke his foot 2 minutes into that fight. And Leon Edwards couldn't finish him. And that fight ends with Leon Edwards on his back and Colby Covington winning the final 2 rounds. They scored it 4-1 for Leon. Go rewatch the fight. Colby Covington wins the 4th round. But again, it was too late at that point. But still, Leon Edwards barely beat a guy who was fighting on a broken foot, who hadn't fought in over a year and a half, and lost the final 2 rounds in the championship rounds. And again, is Colby Covington expected to win the championship rounds against Leon Edwards? Sure. If Colby just turned it on a little bit more in the 3rd round, maybe Colby wins the fight. I don't know. Again, will Colby ever fight for the belt again? Unfortunately, probably not. Okay? But still, he beat a guy who was fighting on a broken foot and hadn't fought in a year and a half. And it wasn't very good. He outpointed him. Okay, sure. Again, is that Leon's fault? Not entirely, because again, Colby, the way the fight plays out, Colby's the wrestler. He's going to have to be the one to close distance. Leon's going to be able to stay on the outside, use his jab, use his kicks. So sure. Is it Leon's fault? No, not entirely. The third Kamaru fight, it wasn't the greatest. He wins, you know, grabs the fence a couple times, barely takes it. It is what it is. The Diaz fight wasn't the greatest. He wins, but the fight that everyone remembers is Diaz landing the big right, Edwards wobbling, and Diaz pointing at him and laughing. Leon has the no contest against Belal Muhammad. It is what it is. He was winning the fight. Now, that was 3 years ago now, over 3 years ago. But yes, Leon was beating Belal when the fight did end. He was winning. He was. He eye-poked him, obviously. It is what it is, no contest. But he was winning. You go back, you look at that fight, March of 2021, main event. Belal doesn't shoot for a takedown. Leon actually doesn't get it. It is what it is. I think Belal will be able to take Leon down. I really do think so. Again, Colby is able to take him down twice. He did in the 5th round. He's able to hold him. He did in the 3rd round. He got reversed. It's just a matter of how many times can Belal take Leon down. I don't know. Belal hasn't gotten a takedown since the Loughran fight, because he was able to go out there and just outpoint and outstrike Gilbert Burns. Good for him. And was able to go out there and, you know, finish Sean Brady in the 2nd round. But again, what Belal is always going to come back to will be the wrestling game, like you saw in the Luque fight, like you saw in the Wonderboy fight. That's likely what he will try to do. But I think he'll be willing to mix it up with the striking as well. I don't know. I've been pretty split on this fight, I'll be honest. I'll make the pick right now. I'm taking Leon Edwards to win the fight. I'll take Leon to take it by decision. Again, I don't think Leon's not the most, he doesn't finish fights. He has one of the most historic moments in UFC history where he head kicks Kamaru Usman. But guys, other than that fight, Leon Edwards doesn't knock anybody out. What, he has 2 knockouts in the UFC? 2? 3? He's been fighting the UFC since 2014. He's been fighting the promotion for 10 years. He's had 16 fights. He's 3 knockouts. Like, that's just not what he does. Like, yeah, he has power, but at times. He's not going to go out there and look for knockouts. He's going to look to outpoint guys. And again, he will look to outpoint Belal Muhammad. I know, and again, it is a stereotype of Belal Muhammad fights that they are boring and they are horrible and they're uneventful. I hate to say it, but this fight has all the makings for that. It has all the makings of it. Leon's not the most entertaining at times. I think Belal will get takedowns, but I don't think he's going to be able to get enough. I think he'll be like Colby. He'll get a couple, but it's not going to be enough. He'll win rounds, but I don't think he's going to get enough to win the fight. He has to do it 3 times. He has to get takedowns in 3 rounds to get positioning over Leon for 3 rounds. I'll be honest, I think he does it for 2. I'm taking 48-47 Leon Edwards. I think it'll be a clear 48-47, though. I don't think there's going to be any controversy going into that 5th round. I think Leon will be up 3-1. I think he'll drop the 5th round. Okay? I'm going to say Leon wins 1 and 2, Belal wins 3, Leon wins 4, Belal wins 5. That's my guess in the pick. Okay? Take Leon Edwards to win 3-2. I don't think there's going to be much controversy surrounding that decision. My thing again is Leon is going to be avoiding the takedown the entire time. He's much bigger than Belal. He'll have a reach advantage. He'll be the one again. He will somewhat force Belal to chase him in this fight. He's going to keep distance, stay on the outside, and that's what's going to give Belal Muhammad a lot of problems. Because he's going to be chasing a takedown, and if he can't get to the legs, Leon's just going to straight up out kickbox him the entire fight. I'm taking Leon Edwards to win by unanimous decision. Where does this go for the weight class? Shavkat Rakhmonov's definitely next, 100%. I get JDM's there, but make JDM go fight Ian Gary, right? If Colby's not fighting Ian Gary, do JDM Gary. Again, one of these guys is going to be a highly touted ranked guy going into a title fight. The other guy, it is what it is. They lose. But again, you do Shavkat and Leon next. It's got to be the fight. I want to see it personally. But I think Leon beats Belal Muhammad. I think he does. Again, I don't think Belal's able to get the takedown. If he's not able to get the takedown, well, no, I do think he's able to get the takedown, but I just don't think he's going to be able to get enough takedowns. Because on the feet, Leon Edwards will boring outpoint him. He will out kickbox Belal Muhammad on the feet. That's how he's going to win his 3 rounds. In terms of the wrestling, again, I think Leon will keep the fight standing for the most part. I do think Belal will get a couple takedowns, but I just don't think it's the amount of takedowns he needs to go out there and win the fight. I'm taking Leon Rocky Edwards to beat Belal Muhammad. I'm taking him by unanimous decision, and still world champion Leon Edwards. Again, the next fight is undoubtedly a fight with Shavkat Rakhmonov. So folks, thank you all for watching our UFC 304 predictions here on the channel. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to leave a like as well. Make sure to comment if you do disagree with any of the picks. We'll be back next week from the Etihad Arena in Abu Dhabi. We have got the main event, Corey Sandhagen versus Umar Nurmagomedov. Nick Diaz now off the card, but Tony Ferguson is fighting Michael Chiesa. And Shara Magomedov is back. He'll be taking on Michal Uzlacechek, who does not take easy fights. And we'll be back for PFL next week as well. The heavyweight playoffs are going on. You have got Denis Goltsov taking on Tim Johnson. What a fight in the main event for PFL next week. It's on Friday. You got Dakota Ditcheva and Jenna Bishop. You got Tyler Santos, Liz Carmouche, and you also got Oleg Popov taking on Linton Vassell. Wait, that's a playoff fight? Wait, how did Vassell make the playoffs? Wait, what? Where did... Of course the Russians aren't fighting each other. Wait, hold on. Okay, this is again, this was a UFC video. I'm finding this out for the first time that Vassell's in the playoffs. Wait, what? Where did Mokaev go? He couldn't fight in time. This is ridiculous. Wait, Daniel James is the highest ranked guy. How is Vassell in the playoffs? Probably because he beat Mokaev. Anyways, I didn't know Linton Vassell's in the playoffs, and now Of course, Mokaev won't fight Popov. Anyways, folks, that'll do it. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoy. Again, comment if you do disagree with any of the picks. We'll be back next week. Again, Abu Dhabi, UFC, and as well as the PFL. Folks, thank you for watching, and Mamba forever.